Okay, where do we go from here? Take it from here.
So I'm confused as to what we're doing with this tree. Like, I know why we have it here, but what are we using it for in the play?
Remember, we're gonna have that big tree. That cool
Big important tree.
Big important tree is this tree?
Not
Or
necessarily.
symbolically so?
Yes.
Okay. Got it.
Are you guys wanting to stick to the storyline of Ponderosa Pete, or are you making your own storyline complete?
No. Well, I think we're launching it.
I think we just want to take it in a different direction because some of the kids have seen the book already, and it would just be something completely new so that they're totally engaged in listening.
And I think theatrically, Ponderosa Pete tells a lot rather than shows, and a 6-year-old really needs to be drawn into the world rather than be told. And that's one of the things I wrote down from these compositions is with the goals, how do we really show them the goal rather than tell them this is don't start forest fires, or this is how a forest is sick or versus healthy. How do you really take them in and show them so that it resonates with them and stays with them? I have a 7-year-old, and you tell her to do something and go clean your room, right? No. So the other thing that I think we're forgetting is, and going back to the video games, go outside, what is the call to adventure? I think is something that we're forgetting. So a kid can't just fall asleep and then we enter the dream world and then we're in this dream world. They need that call. Like, what is the call to adventure?
We need to take it sort of the direction that the story seems to be going. It's like almost a meditation.
Where adventure comes to the kid.
Yeah.
But it's forest.
Like there's still
But in like Roald Dahl, it's always about the kid's desire for something else. It's not a divine miracle that they get called into the adventure. It's never someone telling them to do something.
I mean, like what the kid's parents telling him to go outside constitute a call to adventure, or
Stay away from that tree.
Right. Temptation. Don't eat the fruit, right?
Why would they tell them to stay away from the tree?
Not wander too far.
It's a good incentive for little kids to break a rule. Like, the other stories like that where boundaries are set and then the kid breaks those boundaries and discovers something.
But we could be teaching kids to break boundaries.
Yeah,
either.
like, don't listen to your parents, go on adventures.
It's the most important thing I ever learned.
Yeah, but how many stories actually start that way, where the kid's being told not to do something and it's like, okay, I'll go do that.
It's the adult being an idiot.
Yeah, but still, there's so many stories out there where the kid doesn't listen to the parents, and I never was like, all right, they had an adventure, I'll go along.
Right.
Yeah.
That's just me.
These are, 6-year-olds though, not rebellious middle schoolers.
Well, I mean, when I was little.
If you show them something, that's what they'll do, whether it be disregarding their parents or listening to their parents. Like, you teach by example, and if you're showing them an example of not listening to their parents, that's what they're gonna do.
I always learned well by reverse psychology.
Not sure if reverse psychology works on 6-year-olds.
It works the best on 6-year-olds.
It really does.
What if you went more in a direction of their parents, like, tell them to get out of the house, away from technology, and just go spend the day outside? And then they go outside and they're like, what am I gonna do? Like, they act like there's nothing to do, and then the adventures start coming out. So it's not more so them going against their parents. Their parents are just like, get out of the house, go explore, something like that.
That was our original idea.
What's that?
Wasn't that
That
our
was our
original?
Yes, yes, yes.
That they were playing video games.
Yes, yes.
They're like, no video games, get out of the house.
just not sure if that's enough of a call.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's more of just like a conflict of.
Well, if we're still keeping with the like tree spirit idea, what if that's what
Oh yeah.
calls them? Like they see something and they hear something, so their parents are like, go outside and play. And they're like, well, fine, I'll go play in the forest. And then that's what calls them to the tree.
What about a kite?
Oh,
Flying and hitting the tree.
that's actually a good.
I like that. Like they.
You can project a kite flying in the back screen.
And are they
But they
flying the
have to-
kite or are they following
I
the
think they should. Well, they could fly their kite and like lose it, and then
Yeah, it gets tangled in,
like they're
in
like,
the
oh,
tree.
I'm mad, I'm flying
Yeah.
a kite. It's like, oh, I lost my kite.
But we can just start off like him running in the doors and he says that he lost his kite in the tree. Like technical wise.
Well, since
I
we have a
mean,
reproduction,
something else to
we have
consider is the science end of it, and that's one problem I've been having, wrapping my brain around. And what if the call to adventure is, and this is simplistic, but doing their science homework or something like that? Didn't you have to do something with trees?
When you,
No.
you had to draw a
Yeah.
tree.
Precisely. No, like
have science.
my daughter had to go out and collect 6 things from nature for science homework, something like that. You know? Oh yeah,
Yeah.
you did.
It was the nature table.
And
We did, that was a different. We
well, you guys went to Pine Forest. Cut that. But kids at that age, I think it happens up until 6th grade, have a love of science. Because science was hands-on, science was fun, science was like doing things versus being in a classroom being lectured to, right? Science was very much...
But it seems to be more enjoyable when it's the child doing science for their own sake rather than a school project.
Well, that's what I'm leading to is what if that's the instigator and then it becomes sort of like this mystery because then you've got Nancy Drew and Hardy Boys where they're leading from one to the next.
Oh yeah.
Why is this tree not okay, this one's not?
And then they can go into the imaginative where the mentor becomes the owl or the mountain lion or whatever.
Maybe not
Don't talk to mountain lions.
You're supposed to scream that out.
David.
The Abra squirrel.
Yeah,
What
and
was
it's,
that?
I think one of the major things that the people who gave us the grant to do this all was the focus on the native species we have here.
Yeah.
So not just the owl, but the Mexican sparrow owl. And not just
Right.
the squirrel, but the Abra squirrel, and the characteristics that come along with those.
Right. Right.
I feel like a 6-year-old isn't gonna make that.
I mean, they won't know what it is, but they'll be introduced to it.
They'll pick up on owl, and if you do a projection, that's something we can cover.
Not just like a squirrel named Aber.
Yeah, something like that.
Aber the
Or,
squirrel.
or you say in the script, it just says, hey, look at the Mexican spotted owl, not just, and they might not, it might not play, but it'll be there.
I'm not even sure that's something that someone would say though. Like, 2 kids playing in the forest,
They
like,
have science there.
Mexican spotted owl.
Oh my god!
Two. You know what I
But if you
just
go
saw.
to the hero's journey, you've got the ordinary world kind of video games, you've got the call to adventure, go do your work. You've got the refusal to call with the kids obviously not wanting to, or maybe going outside and being reluctant to do anything. And then you meet the mentor, the squirrel, and the squirrel launches them into
To
this.
like introduce the kid to like his friends maybe, which are the different kinds of trees or different pine trees, like the different ages of the pine trees maybe, or other animals in the forest.
Mhm.
I think it'd be useful to have the animals and the trees be the ones that are like talking maybe. So it's not just they're looking
Right.
at these animals and trees, they're the ones
Right.
teaching the lesson from their viewpoint maybe.
But as an archetype, the squirrel is usually not the mentor.
Yeah, I think the tree should be the mentor because it's like
Yeah.
I'm a tree.
I like the tree
How many
spirit.
of us have them?
Yeah,
Because-
because like the tree is
yeah.
old.
Well, one
and
thing, like to
it's-
keep it with schoolwork or something, instead of being like, we have to go out and collect 6 objects from nature, what if they have to like come up with a story and they go out to nature and that's why things start talking to them instead of them falling asleep or like some crazy hallucination.
It's possible. It could be a writing homework.
What
But
Yeah.
science is an easier way to catch the science man. But what I'm saying is that whatever gets them out of the house, go do your science homework. leads into the squirrel giving them this great mystery to solve, which gets them into the forest and exploring the fire and exploring the health of the forest. And then they come back, not only having done their work, but having this abundant knowledge.
And that's what you want to focus on, not necessarily exactly the beginning. I mean, obviously the beginning is important
Right.
to like hook the people
Right.
in the audience, but that's not what you're focusing on. The focus is on the adventure in the
Well,
middle.
the two things that keep coming up, and this is across the board, is that it's got to be some sort of an adventure and it's got to be fun and funny. Because as soon as you start preaching to 500 7-year-olds, you're dead on the water.
What if we made
And
it
you
like
need to start with
the main character as the girl from Up? Like how she was super enthusiastic about a balloon.
Yeah, like what if it's
She was
not
just like-
necessarily like a
Not a reluctant kid, but one that's like, Mom, I'm going outside to play in the woods. And the mom's like, okay, don't wander off too far. Or,
Right, and I'm saying the
"Just
kid
not
puts
here."
on a cape and goggles
Yeah.
and he goes for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then while he's in there, that's when he's just like, he can meet like another child that's like, I was told to go outside. It's like, oh, come see this thing. This thing is so cool. I have to show you this.
Yeah, and that way it keeps it light and not like, because we don't want him to be too reluctant.
But then his sister could yang his yin. That didn't quite right.
Like I haven't heard that one before.
What is this, Cornville? Oh boy, that was easy. But she could be the real, like, come on, let's get this done, let's do this. And then he could be the creative, adventuresome kid. Not that she, or it could be the reverse.
It's always a girl that's a creative one. Be the boy. Just saying. Shouting, seeing.
Boys have a harder time grasping reality at that age.
Yeah, and then but in movies, it's always the girl that's like, I'm so creative, and the boy's like, I'm on video game.
It's right though, like movies and stories, it's always like the big older brother that's like, you're stupid.
It might be good to have, if we are trying to connect with the students, have the boy be the adventurous one, and the little boys can, if the girls are already, I think, at that age, we might be a little more willing to do that, and the boys are, I want to play basketball, I want to play football, but they can see a boy figure up on stage being the one, and they can connect to that better, instead of, oh, it's just a girl, that's what they do.
Right. And how about this, rather than the girl being just the straight character, girls have an easier time focusing at that age than boys.
Was I a girl at that age then?
Oh, boy.
Wow. Wow.
Stop sexually. I mean,
What?
That
Whoa!
Okay, so I think that's starting to lay itself out.
Makes me happy that we're getting like a solid foundation instead of just ideas.
So one, in the ordinary world.
Shouldn't we decide what the beginning and end are what people remember the most? So do we want to align the most important ideas? But like when you listen to a song, you remember the beginning, you remember the end, like the first time you listen to it.
And then,
I
like,
think
different
really-
people will remember different parts in the middle.
Yeah, you remember.
Well, let's go through this. Ordinary world. You've got the kids playing video games. Right. And then at the house, and then the call to adventure.
Go outside.
And then the refusal of call.
Is it gonna be a girl that like gets sent out of the house and then she meets him? Or is it gonna be like two siblings?
Oh, that's a good point.
I really liked
What if she, yes!
But Henry, what did you just say?
What if she goes out and then all of a sudden this boy in a cape and goggles flies up to her? And it's the next door neighbor or something like that.
I think I would feel better if it wasn't siblings.
He could be Hobo Joe's son.